I'm Miss Alyssa.
And I'm Miss Teresa.
And welcome back to another episode of our monthly book talk.
Yay! Okay, so this month we read the book Charlie Hernandez and the League of Shadows by Calejo.
So basically, Charlie wakes up one day and he realizes he has horns and feathers.
Yeah, he's going through some crazy stuff. First his house burns down, then his parents disappear, and now he's dealing with this manifestation of crazy traits.
Yeah. And it turns out all his abuela's stories
are coming true. Yeah, everything about Hispanic folklore. So
it's really cool.
It's really interesting. I don't think I have read a book that really focused on Hispanic folklore like this book did. So you see a lot of characters. It's very much just like the Jumbies, where they talk about the Haitian folktales. This one is all Hispanic. You're getting La Llorona is going to be in there. You have the boogeyman.
El Cucuy.
Yes, exactly. So those kind of characters are coming in throughout the book, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So
let's jump in.
Yeah.
So who was your favorite character?
Okay, so at the beginning, it was Miss Wilson. Okay, Mrs. Wilson was my favorite. She's the person who's taking care of Charlie right now while his parents are missing. And I liked her. I thought she was really sweet. I thought she was a nice little old lady who was really worried about Charlie, like wanting to know what he was into, what he was doing, willing to help out and drive his friends places.
Yeah, I agree. She seemed really nice in the beginning. Yeah. If you read the book, we won't spoil it too much, but she doesn't stay very nice throughout the whole book.
Yeah. So I was really sad.
Though, she was nice. However, her doll collection scared me.
Okay, wait.
Right off the bat, I was like, she has a room full of dolls.
I love dolls, though.
I'm not on board with it.
Okay, that's one of the reasons why I really liked her, because I love dolls. I loved dolls when I was a little girl. I love dolls now. Like, my grandmother used to buy me porcelain dolls, so I was okay with that.
That's fair. I did not grow up with a lot of dolls. I wasn't a big doll kid. I was like a horse figurine child.
Okay. Well, I had My Little Pony stuff too. So I liked Mrs. Wilson in the beginning, and then I was like, okay, well, I don't like her anymore. But overall, I really liked all of the mythological, magical creatures.
There's a lot of cool ones.
There was a lot of cool
ones.
Yeah, and so I liked how each one, when they were introduced, they were distinctive. Like you have the Calejo, who is basically a walking skeleton, and he was just really funny.
Yeah. So
or you have La Llorona, she's constantly crying, which she can be a little scary, but she can also make some funny jokes.
Yeah. So to jump in, my favorite was the Calejo Gregory.
Okay.
Because he was really sassy and funny.
Yeah.
But again, all the mythological characters, I felt they had their mythological personalities, but also kind of modern. So La Llorona, I always thought was really scary, but in the book, she has scary aspects, but she's also kind of just a kooky, weird
psychic
mom.
lady. And wants to be everyone's mom. Yeah. She has a trunk full of pajamas that are cotton. And even Charlie's like, man, I like those pajamas. Yeah. They felt comfortable, kind of thing. Yeah. So there are really funny aspects of them, even though they are kind of creepy too.
Yeah. Gregory, a walking skeleton is always a little bit creepy, but I do like that when Charlie was like, you can't be real, he's like, okay, sure, this 12-year-old's telling me, a 300-year-old skeleton, that I'm not real.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
And okay, and I can destroy all of you with this huge shovel.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So how about your favorite moment in the book?
Okay. So there was a lot of good moments, but I think the one that I thought was very realistic and extremely funny was at the very the beginning of the book, where Violet and Charlie are in the cemetery and they've gone down the tomb and they're in the minecart. And they have to take that ride, okay? And it's going up, it's going down, it's going to the side.
It's definitely a ride.
It's a ride. And it made me think of the Disneyland ride, the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Absolutely.
Where if you guys have ever been on it, and I still go on it as an adult, you're holding on to your friends this way, and you're going that way, and and so you see them and they're being squished to the side and they're screaming, because if you suddenly plunge down in a little cart, I'd be screaming too. So
it kind of reminds me on Donkey Kong. It's the minecart level. That's what I kept thinking of the whole time.
Yeah.
So my favorite part was I really liked how when Charlie meets Joanna,
Okay.
who leads the League of Shadows, basically. She takes them on basically teleports them through time and space to Spain. So they're at the cemetery, or like the mausoleum.
Yeah.
And she says, eat these tequila worms and we'll teleport. Which is like, she said it was like falling and flying at the same time, which sounds a little bit scary. But I like the idea that you can just blink and you're there somewhere.
Yeah,
and it was
really
Spain,
fast.
which I've always wanted to go to Spain. So that was like, oh, this is a really cool moment in this book. However, I did realize that you did not have to eat the tequila worm, which was...
Yeah, she's
I don't know why she made them do that.
Yeah, she's like, don't worry, there's no alcohol content in it. You can, it's safe to eat. And then afterwards, like...
I still don't want to eat a worm.
Yeah.
So that was... I thought it was a really cool moment, but it was a little... too.
I agree. That one was really funny. Okay, so what was your least favorite moment in the book?
So I did like the book. However, I felt these kids, Charlie and Violet, and everyone else was supposed to be like maybe 13, 14 at the oldest.
Yeah.
And the way they talked to each other, it didn't feel genuine to me. I definitely was not that quick and funny.
A little grown up?
Yeah, very grown up. I felt they felt very grown up. Violet was a good character. I just felt she was very like involved in everything. Like she was a cheerleader, yearbook.
She was a newspaper. She was good at baking.
And every time they came up with a problem, if they didn't know what was going on, she was able to figure it out the next day.
Yeah.
Like go home and I read stuff and now I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Which would be a cool superpower. I definitely feel like it's a superpower.
Yeah, because she was just so knowledgeable. There's a whole like section where she gives the history of like the tandem bike and like how it went from being like a tractor factory to then making bicycle things, then to making cheese. I mean, that's a lot of information to know, you know? So a lot of it was far-fetched for me.
It didn't feel like a real middle schooler would talk like that.
Yeah, I agree. There were a lot of moments in this book where it was a good book and there was great like characterizations of certain people, but mostly the magical people.
Yeah, they were definitely the highlight of the book.
Yeah, when it comes to like middle graders, the whole description of Alice in the book, they're middle school, so even if they were 9th grade, that's how high the middle school goes.
Yeah, Alice was like a 6 foot.
She was over 6 feet. She was built really muscular.
Softball player.
She has a mohawk of blue hair and a nose ring.
Yeah. And she's 12.
And I was like 13. I was like, this just seemed
12, 13,
way out of character of any middle schooler. And when I went to middle
she's
school,
one of the meanest characters I think we've read. Of
just being mean for mean's sake. And and then she had a lot of people who were in her corner who were just mean too.
Yes.
Which is very strange. But I think my least favorite part overall in the book was the interaction between the friends. We all know I love a good friendship.
By friends, you mean?
I mean Alvin, Sam, and Charlie. So we all know I love a good friendship story. We all love when they work together and figure things out. And it bothered me that Charlie wasn't sharing things with his best friends. He's known Alvin since kindergarten. They've been through thick and thin. And I just don't I can understand being afraid to share personal things or embarrassing things. And Charlie thinks his new feathers and horns and claw are embarrassing. And he feels like he's a freak. So I can understand not wanting to share those things with people, but that he was okay to share it with Violet, who he doesn't know.
I wouldn't imagine a 13-year-old boy who has all this weird stuff happening to him telling his crush before he told his
best friends. Yeah, it was very strange. And so and then I was a little upset because, you have that whole chapter where, Alice stuffs Alvin in the locker, which I'm like, where are the teachers? But that's a whole other point. And, Charlie rescues him out of the locker. He stands up for his friend. But Alvin's upset.
Yeah.
He feels betrayed. He feels like he's being pushed aside for a girl. a girl that he makes a good point. Charlie doesn't even know. He's known her a couple weeks,
yes,
maybe, because everything's happening very quickly in this book. And so it just seems like if you can't trust your friends, someone that you've known for so long, why are you friends with them? Like that just, it really made me sad. And then even at the end, you know, Alvin shows up to apologize.
He takes everything in stride.
He really does.
Yeah.
He's a really, I think Alvin is a funny character. And I would have liked to see more interaction between him and Charlie. So that was one of the little things
That's
I
a
really like.
good critique of the book.
Yeah.
So would you read another book? I'll go first. I would. Because I really like the mythology. I liked also learning new Spanish words.
Yes.
I don't speak Spanish at all, so I always like books that, you know, incorporate a new language. But I thought it was fun. I'd like to see what else happens to Charlie.
I don't know if I would. There wasn't a lot, like, this was a good book, and you're right. Having all the words sprinkled in was fun to learn because they kind of explain it as they go. Mm-hmm. You get the context of it. I really like when friends work together, and I really like to see those relationships be built on like these really like life and death situations. And so I was a little disappointed. And so unless the next book has Sam and Alvin and Charlie in it again, I don't know if I'd want to read it.
Well, speaking of the next book, first of our book recommendations is if you really like Charlie Hernandez, you can find him once again in Charlie Hernandez and the Castle of Bones. And it's a pretty big book, so maybe they are in it. You'd have to read it to find out. So this one, it continues Charlie's story, where he is helping Queen Joanna defend this world against El Dark Brujo, is how they describe him. So check that one out.
Okay, and if you want to continue reading books that are very similar to Charlie Hernandez and the League of Shadows, we have Manana Land by Pam Munoz Ryan. And this book has to deal with the character Max. And Max also knows folk tales because his grandfather tells folk tales to him. And it's about the mythical gatekeeper. So Max wants to find out more information about his mother because his mother disappeared when he was a little kid. But no one's really telling him anything. So he discovers a buried family secret, and he's going to have to use a treasured compass, a stone rubbing, and the legends that his grandfather told him to find out more information in a perilous quest.
Sounds pretty good. And Pam Munoz Ryan, she's a Newbery Award winner, right?
She is, yes.
So she's really talented. And our last suggestion for you is a Rick Riordan presents Sal and Gabby Break the Universe. So Sal and Gabby go to school together, and they're actually kind of rivals. They don't really like each other. Gabby is sure that Sam somehow planted this chicken in her friend's locker.
Okay.
Weird, right? So Sal prides himself on being an excellent magician, but Gabby soon learns that he's not only good at sleight of hand, but can actually conjure things like a chicken and even his dead mother's ghost.
Wow.
So the only problem is that all this messing with time and space could put the entire universe at risk.
Oh no.
Hence the name.
Breaking the universe. Okay. Okay.
And then, as always, we're going to tell you our next book for April.
Yes.
April 2021.
So it's going to be The Curse of the Night Witch, Emblem Island, and this is by Alex Astor. And this is about Tor Luna, who was born knowing the path that he should be taking in his life.
Everyone born knows they get an emblem and it tells them how their life is going to go.
But he doesn't want to follow his path. He wants to do something completely different. Okay. But by choosing not to follow his path, he gets cursed. Yes, with an untimely death. Ooh. So to avoid that untimely death, he's got to go visit the Night Witch. And so he's got to take two of his best friends, which I love, and the ancient stories he's been told by, he's been told. And so they have to cross Emblem Island, and they have to fight against wicked creatures and other myths. Sounds interesting.
Good. Sounds right up our alley. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next month for our next book talk.
Okay, bye.
Bye.